outs of these different productions when I was doing the MLB VODs. So now I know. Now I can envision where Mike's clicking and what he's doing in the background there. Gunning for your job, Mikey. Coming back on the production side. Scratch that. You can have it. What's happening, Stokastic basketball fans? Terry McBride here. Welcome to the No House Advantage NBA show. I'm back from vacation. You might have missed me. You might not have. You might have been sitting there saying, hey, gee, glad that McBride guy's not around anymore. But if that's the case, well, too damn bad. Here I am again. We're here to talk about the No House Advantage slate for basketball tonight. What's today? Monday, the 14th of November. Should be a good one. 7 games lined up. I'm here with my pal Gundacker, the new reigning tag team champion of whatever backyard wrestling league this happened to be a part of. Our pal Gun's a little sore, a little banged up, took a couple bumps in winning the strap last night. But Gun, tell us a little bit about your weekend and how that came down. How you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, it hurts to move. That's about it. I've been in the wrestling scene forever, but weekend was kind of boring. A lot of DFS, and then last night decided to get hurt a little bit, and now I'm sore. But it was worth it. And now we have a big week of DFS. So regular Monday.
Yeah, should be pretty good. So in doing this match and the tag team and everything, is this one of those kind of deals where it gets a little bit like over the top extreme? You guys are hitting each other with barbed wire fences and wrapping each other and throwing each other through fire and off 30-foot ladders and stuff? Or are we talking like a traditional old school wrestling match?
Yeah, it's pro wrestling. Yeah,
all right, traditional pro wrestling, nothing crazy, none of the over the top extreme Japanese.
I don't do that stuff, but
okay.
It's done by under the umbrella of the promotion that I help produce. But I don't do that. I can't do that.
All right. Well, sounds like fun, man. Is that on video anywhere for people to, if they want to pull it up? Like if they pull up your Twitter handle, will they be able to find a link to it or anything?
That video is not yet, but the company does do a lot of. I produce everything, so I do the commentary. I won't be doing commentary on that match, obviously, but there's video of the company. It's a pretty legit production.
Badass. That sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out myself. I just want to see this matches. Is that why you're all clean shaven too? You look a little.
No, I did this a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did you? All right,
like 2 weeks ago. And
okay, I've been out of the loop, man. It's been a solid 10 days that I've been gone. So basketball wise, also just like 10 days of just complete blank slate for me. So I've got very little clue what's been going on. So you're gonna carry the weight.
Were you off yesterday too? Like you didn't play? Because I didn't play yesterday. And so when I got home last night and I flip open and I see Embiid and Garland, the 170, I was like, what did I miss? It's like coming back to a house on fire. You see Embiid dropped 100 fantasy points?
I did not see that. That's how out of the loop I am. I saw somebody in the chat earlier was mentioning Embiid, so I guess that's why. I wasn't even sure what happened, or I didn't chime in on it, but damn, that's a night. And Garland, I was off for that one.
Darius Garland dropped 70.
Yeah, so anybody who doesn't have those two guys in their lineup, see you tomorrow. Wow, that's a hell of a day. Yeah, I've been I flat out didn't play. We drove up and back from Florida. So on the ride back last night or yesterday afternoon, like halfway up, I realized, holy shit, it's Sunday. Had to make some NFL season-long changes and everything. And then I made a dozen lineups on my own. And then I let my little niece put one together just by going like, hey, pick a number between 1 and 20. Pick a number between 1 and 5. Her lineup didn't do so well. Neither did mine, really. But that's the only DFS I've done. So we're going to dive into this one. We've got 7 games on the slate tonight. Gunn will take us through some of the ins and the outs, and we'll talk about some of these specific props. But we're talking. We've got Mikey's got your picture up there on from your Twitter with the strap. Not bad. Okay. Looking hardcore. That's a pretty solid belt you guys got too. Not bad.
Yeah, it's one of the tag belts.
Yeah. So as I was saying, we're here brought to you by No House Advantage. Obviously, this is the No House Advantage show. We'll get into a little bit about the specifics about how their contests work. So hopefully everybody knows about it by now. We've got a little first-time deposit match bonus up to $50 going with them. All sorts of different things over at NHA. They've got tons of overlay every single night. That's a marketing tool that they're using. They're leaving an overlay. They're leaving money on the table. Go get it. There's 2 different types of contests. You can win up to 25 grand in the versus other people contest. You can win up to 20 times your entry fee in the versus the house contest. So a lot of different ways to do it. But Gunn, let's dive into the slate a little bit. 7 games. I pulled up the injury report just to try and catch up, and it is just filled with a bunch of GTDs and a bunch of outs. So anything really standing at the top of your list as far as like priority ins and outs, or something that you're really keeping your eye on going into this slate that might have a trickle down impact on some of these picks?
The most notable outs or Q spots, I guess, would be for me the Raptors without Van Vliet, Gary Trent, and Siakam and Achua. This becomes a very, very different lineup, but we can still isolate a lot of opportunity and usage uptick for guys like Scottie Barnes, and then maybe OG Anunoby, who's already a great defensive stat pattern, but now he might be asked to score, and there's a good chance he could be the leading scorer on that team today. We have Drew Holiday out with Giannis probable, and we know life without Middleton continues, so Giannis should have an 800% usage rate. And I usually don't target him for props, but this is an opportunity where I just might. Looking at the most recent what to watch, Paolo Banchero is questionable. He did miss a game. Chris Paul has missed time, and these guys have lingering Q tags. Tyler Hero's missed 2 or 3 games now. He's Q. If he can't go more offense for Jimmy, a little bit more oomph perhaps on the Adebayo projection. And then Grayson Allen, I don't know if you I guess you missed out on that. The other night, Drew Holiday and Giannis Antetokounmpo were out. Grayson Allen was projected starter.
Right.
I had 40%. He did not play.
That'll hurt you.
And they didn't rule him out until like 7 or like halftime, basically. Apparently he was sick, and no one decided.
And they just didn't bother to tell anybody. That's fun.
Yeah.
You gotta love when these teams just keep secrets, or when they just flat out lie to you. It's one or the other typically. That's why a lot of this season I've just been kind of trying to play like safe picks, not worry too much. Like I've been going a little bit zig when they zag kind of approach, where like I've not been sweating some of these late breaking news situations, and it's been to my benefit so far. But again, 10 days off, we'll see where I come down on tonight's slates. But one that you mentioned off the top here, I think is an important one to discuss as far as the no house board and looking at the versus the field picks. The Scottie Barnes assist line is sitting at 3.5. We've got that at a pretty monster probability on going over. What are you seeing for Scottie Barnes as far as his ability to get over 3.5 assists tonight?
Yeah, that was something that I was on Saturday for our NHA VOD content. The line was too low on Saturday. His assist rate without Siakam was 25%, and without Siakam and Van Vliet, it hit over 30%, which is on par with guys like Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, James Harden, guys like that. So a 30+% assist rate is pretty doggone likely to clear 3.5 assists. So that's easily got to be the favorite prop to jam on the board. Probably your 10-point confidence one, if I had to pick one right off the bat.
Yep. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And today's a day where we've got, kind of a flattish board. That 93.4% that we're saying is likely for that one to go over is the top of the board. So a lot of times we see some of these unders that are just miscast against minutes allocation or whatever. And some of those might pop up through the day as some things change. So keep an eye on it. But right now that over is standing out as like one of the strongest picks. So I agree. Pop it up toward the 10, the 9 confidence spots. We've got them projected at 6.34. So basically, approaching double what the line is. Looking at just his averages for the season in 31.9 minutes for the season, he's already averaging 4.9. And that's in the situation where some of those games have been with Van Vliet, and everything. So I think that one looks very strong. We've got him projected out at 35.1 minutes. Everything that you said about the assist rate being over 30%, and that it just leads to that. Is there any lingering concern about like the quality of teammates might drag that down? I mean, that's not something I sweat. I think it's just rate over time is gonna get you there, right?
Yeah, I think the quality of matchup is gonna put to rest any of those concerns. But if it was like a higher line, like I don't know, say Trae Young had everyone out, yeah, maybe, and then he takes over more scoring. But I think the matchup's weak enough, and Anunoby, I think I'm going to correlate a lot. Maybe look at some of his points. I'm going to look at Dad Young, who's just kind of not been bad when he gets on the court. So I think there's enough pick and roll opportunity or just some simple lobs against this Pistons team that will get him there, and he might get there by halftime.
Yeah, it just seems like it's sitting there to be picked off for us. And then flipping the script over to the unders now, we do have a couple of 90% plus unders to talk about here. They're all in the form of PRAs. Two of them off the top are for guys who I do believe are playing without any kind of Q tags. And then one of them is Chris Paul, who I do believe has a Q tag. So let's start with Paul. He's sitting at a 90.2% probability to go under a 28.5 PRA. We've got him projected for 28.6 minutes. He's been averaging 30.2. Is that one that's more driven by the Q tag though? Like if he plays a full complement of minutes, would you be as strongly chasing that one? Do you feel confident about that one, even with a fully healthy Chris Paul or just a full go Chris Paul here? Or is that one still standing at like 90% for you?
I think the matchup being what it is, I would expect this to be a neutral to pace down spot and maybe not a lot of implied scoring. We're working with a 215 total. That's amongst the lowest we're going to see this season. So maybe just the fewer implied possessions will be good enough for us to lean the under. I soft projected him at 28 minutes, just thinking that he would ease back in. And during his absence, Cameron Payne has played great. So maybe that's, we saw a stretch last year where Chris Paul was just chilling around 28, 30 minutes, and Cameron Payne was able to come in and flourish. So I think the combination of the matchup and a competent backup would be enough for me to lean the under here and agree with the Stokastic projection. But we need him to play though.
Yeah. We want him to play. We want him out there for sure. And it does look like, about 2 minutes under what he's been averaging in the 10 games he's played this season is where we've got him projected. And in the 30.2 minutes that he's averaged for the season so far, his PRA is actually only sitting at 23.4 as an average. So that seems like there's a lot of clearance on that line. So just keep an eye on Chris Paul's status. Seems like a pretty strong confidence one. It's Chris Paul, so he could always go out there and just rack up a few points, bunch of assists, grab a couple boards and get there. But I think that is a strong confidence one. And then the two that are sitting above him, we've got a 90.7%er for Jabari Smith Jr. to go under on his PRA. And then we've got a 93.3 at the top of the board. That's for LaMelo Ball to go under on the PRA. Why don't we start with LaMelo? He's played one game back. He's put up looks like a 27 PRA in that one. The line is 38.5. That seems pretty lofty to me. So what do you see for LaMelo?
Yeah, I was on this Saturday as well. This is a PRA. I believe his PRA average per game last year was lower than this line anyway. So for him to, it's ambitious to expect him to come in and have games that were above last year's average right off the rip. 28 minutes. Yeah, it was a little lopsided scoreboard wise, but this is not a spot where I expect him to go straight to like 37 minutes of LaMelo. And it is a rotation that still has Terry Rozier, who demands usage, Kelly Oubre in the starting lineup. Guys that and a pace down spot against the Orlando Magic, there's enough pushback here that I think this line is way too high. And if he hit 38.5 PRA, I would want him in fantasy. I don't think that's going to happen today. So I'll match the 90+%. That and the aforementioned Scottie Barnes click. Those are probably going to be two of my favorite plays on NHA tonight.
Yep. Yeah, I think those are two strong starting points. Make them 10, make them 9, and lock them into the top of the card. And you're right. I was just looking at LaMelo's PRA average from last season in 32.3 minutes a game over 75 games. His PRA average was only 34.4. So we're 4 points clear of that line tonight with a guy to everything that you just said. 28 minutes, ease him back in, second game back. Like there's a lot of good reasons to believe that he's not going to get there. So that one feels really strong. What about Jabari Smith Jr.? Couple moving parts missing for the Rockets and potentially questionable for the Rockets. Looks like Jalen Green game time decision here. Any thoughts on the Jabari Smith going under? It's a 23.5 line. It looks to me a little closer based on where we've got him projected, 17.98. Seems like a couple, incidentals could get him there. So as far as confidence goes, I think I would have that a little lower maybe than where we've got it. But by the numbers, 90.7% seems kind of strong.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll just trust the projections in a spot like this. The front court from the Rockets, really the rotation from the Rockets, but more so the front court has been kind of frustrating as it seems to change so often with Jabari Smith, Şengün. We saw the Bruno Fernando start over Şengün, but he's down now. Kenyon Martin's still in that front court. I think right now they've at least showed us that Jabari Smith and Şengün in the front court is the plan going forward, but they still have enough in that starting lineup with KPJ, with Jalen Green, Şengün, other guys that also demand usage and are more likely to pop, that I would agree in the median range of outcomes with our projection of being the under, but it's less warm and fuzzy than maybe the Melo and the Scottie Barnes ones, just because of how unpredictable the Rockets seem to be.
Yeah, I feel like we've got just more clearance, feels more cushy on those ones. The LaMelo rebounds alone is also sitting right there. It's a 7.5 line. We do have them projected at 5.6, so it's down to an 86%er. But that's another one where it kind of feels like it could be easy to pick off there. So I'd be confident with that. We've got the Ayton and Horford rebound under sitting there and above 85%, along with Sadiq Bey's assists sitting at 85%. The Bey assists line is 3.5. We've got him projected at 1.8. What do you think on that one? That one's kind of interesting to me.
For who was
Sadiq Bey assists?
Sadiq Bey? Yeah.
3.5 line.
Sadiq. Yeah, that's yeah, I would lean the under as long as I would be there on the under.
Yeah,
I hate accident like stuff like that where you can get a couple of passes go in the right hands. I guess I wish Cade Cunningham was in, I guess, but Killian Hayes has been very serviceable in creating plays for them. So I would lean the under.
Yeah, and you're right. It is one of those where just a couple incidental passes and it gets over the line. So I do like looking for ones with a bigger number, I guess, to reach to. But that one does seem, we've got him projected for a little bit of an uptick from the 1.4 that he's averaged so far for this season. He's sitting at a 6.8% assist rate for the season. So it does seem like there's some justification there. And we've got him projected out, for his normal amount of minutes. So yes, through incidentals, he could get there, but it does sit there by the numbers look, relatively strong. Speaking of the numbers, gang, we need you to help me and Gun here out with some numbers on clicking the like and the subscribe button, because I forgot to tell you guys to do that at the beginning of the show. Keep up with all our shows, our DFS offers, our giveaways, much, much more. Once you subscribe, hit that notification button, get alerts when our shows go live. And don't forget, almost all of our content is available in podcast form on your platform of choice. Help us out. Leave a 5-star review on those podcasts. Really does help us out, guys. So hit the old thumbs up, give us a little review on podcasts, and download us in podcast form if you like. I did threaten to talk about No House Advantage really quickly here, so I'm going to do that now. We're going to go through the plug here and tell you guys a little bit more about these contests that we're talking about, these picks for. They're basically the most dynamic, interesting new approach to fantasy sports. It's basically blending player props where if you're in a state where you can't make legal wagers on player props, this might be your tool. If you like betting props, jump in here. It blends fantasy and prop betting. It's you can run pick'em contests, like I said, like we've been talking about. Let me start that over. You can play in pick'em contests against the field, against guys like Alex, and against a broad field of people for your shot at winning up to $25,000 in cash. You can also play against the house. There are tighter lines against the house. It's a lot more like a sports book where you're getting a lot thinner. They're not leaving these big fat ones like that LaMelo Ball under that we just talked about sitting on the table. So if you hit that, if you win all of your 5 picks, you get 20 times your entry fee. You bet up to 5 player props, over unders, or individual matchups across every major sports league, including NFL, NBA, college football. The World Cup is coming soon in there. So a lot of exciting stuff. If you sign up via the link that we've got down in the description down there, you get a first match deposit bonus of up to $50. You can check out our NHA lineup generators and our projections over on Stokastic. So we're basically giving you all of the projections. You're giving you all the probabilities. It's just a matter of filtering through and putting them in order on your entry card. It could not get easier. And oh, by the way, they've got overlay in every single contest. Overlay is the easiest way to make money in sports betting, in fantasy sports, period. That is the way to do it. So chase the overlay, get in there. It's a marketing tool. They're doing it intentionally. They're giving away some money. They want to build up the site. They want your business. Jump in there, take advantage of the $50 match deposit bonus. Take advantage of our free projections and free lineups over for NHA. You can just go to the site and copy the lineup directly into your entry and drop it in, and you have a high probability lineup to make some money. It is the best site to jump into and build a little bit of a bankroll. I really encourage everybody to do it. So make sure you're checking that out. Gun, let's talk some more picks here. I'm going to sort back to the overs. We've got Al Horford. We've got a handful of 3-pointer overs, actually. The Eitan Shander Memorial 3-point over-unders. 88.6% probability to go over for Al Horford. The line is 0.5. Talk to me about that one.
All you need is one, right? All you need is one. He took 8 threes against Denver last game. That was probably a season high. usually you can expect between 1 and 6. But his efficiency is really doggone good on the low end game. So I don't think he's missed in the last 10 games. He's hit at least 1-3. So if you're a fan of trends and potential against a weak team like the Thunder, I'd yeah, fine. I'm with it. Although the 3-pointers, I tend to not put too high in the confidence bars for NHA. So it'll probably be like a bottom 5 pick for me.
Okay. That makes some sense.
But one is good though. I usually I'm sweating like 2.5.
Yeah, that's it. When you've got like the next one down is Steph Curry, 3.5. We've got him projected at 5, but I mean 3.5 is a bit of a tall order. I have it for Al Horford to make 1. We've got him projected at 1.96 for the season. He's making 2.2 a game, taking 4.6 a game. So on volume, we can reasonably expect that he's going to make it. He takes 4, he shoots 25% from 3. We're still there. Right. Yep. So even if he has a clunker of a game, it's just basically about how many he takes. But I do get what you're saying, because it's not really rate based, right? Like Al Horford on rebounds is going to get a certain amount of rebounds within a standard deviation one way or another. He might just not take any threes, right? There is always that possibility. So that does make sense to maybe push those down. And then you are still getting, at least by the numbers, a fairly high probability one as one of your lower ones. And you're ordering your card a bit differently than some of the other people might as well. So there are advantages to shuffling those around. Scottie Barnes also sitting at just a half a 3 made, 1.78 projection, 85%er. That feels pretty strong based on everything we're saying about Scottie Barnes and all the absences in that rotation. Do you feel a little bit more confident about that one?
Yeah, just because Horford's not likely to start every possession with the basketball, or Scottie Barnes is. So Scottie Barnes catches a screen and jumps up and heaves one. That seems very, very likely without guys like Van Vliet and Siakam. So yes, but it's just more because he'll have the ball more than Al Horford likely will.
Yep, that one makes some sense there. And we are getting word from Mikey in production. The NBA $15,000 contest on NHA tonight, as far as overlay, it's currently 5% full. 5% full. There's 15 grand guaranteed up at top in that contest, spread out for for the top entries. So that's one seems likely to like something you should jump in and take advantage of, guys. And we've also got a little bit of a challenge. Apparently, Joel Embiid is throwing down the gauntlet and coming after your tag team title belt. So I don't know who his tag team partner is, but watch out. According to Mikey, he's looking forward to Embiid versus Gundacker.
Oh, no.
That should be a fun one.
I ain't Andre Drummond. I ain't Andre Drummond.
Who would you and your tag team partner most like Joel Embiid if he's picking another NBA player? Who would you most like to face in that tag team match?
Oh my God. So my partner is a very scrawny dude.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think who's very scrawny in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas. Get him back.
I like it. Yeah, Spud Webb's still alive. Him, Nate Robinson, although Nate was pretty tough. I think Nate's got some health issues though, so maybe not. Let's look at this board here a little bit. And guys, remember, we've got free projections over at the site. We've got free lineups, already built optimal lineups over at the site. So check it out over at Stokastic. It really, really helps putting these cards together. Any of these really stand out to you, or if you're looking at this in terms of things that you might want to chase that either look different on your board as compared to where we've got them at Stokastic, or really standing out from the Stokastic board?
I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble with some OG Anunoby in my life tonight. I like him to pick up some slack without Van Vliet and Siakam, and even in their front court, Achua. So Anunoby might play 38, 39 minutes, which is normal for a Raptor starter. And we've seen him take over 15 shots in 3 games straight. And he's still a guy that stuffs the stat sheet. And we know Detroit, not a great basketball team, could offer up plenty of those defensive stocks. They're allowing 7.3 blocks per game, 6.9 steals per game. So plenty of opportunities for a guy like Anunoby. I think in the spectrum of what matters more for NHA, we eliminate the stocks. Think more about the PRA. I think points and rebounds. He has a real shot at going off today. So I'm probably a little bit higher on Anunoby than maybe the rest of the industry. So that's probably somebody else, sprinkle into my cards, and hopefully that makes me a little bit different and hopefully profitable.
Sure, absolutely. And it's a lot of justification there, right? It definitely makes some sense that he's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more, have to carry a little bit more of the weight. Looking at it by the numbers, we've got him projected at a 29.2 PRA against a 28.5 line. So we do have him going over, but maybe not as lofty as he potentially could get. That's still sitting at a 54%. So maybe that's one, if you're looking at the versus the house contest, if that line makes some sense, if it's around that level, it might make sense to lock that in. But I think even for our down chord picks in the versus the field contests, that does make a lot of sense just because there's justification. There's a lot of good narrative reason behind it, and he's a guy who we've seen do that and could reasonably be reliable to put those numbers up. I just sorted to the Raptors rather, and the only other guy on the Raptors that I'm pulling in here with any picks is Gary Trent Jr., who doesn't appear to be populated in this sheet for me.
He's out.
He is out. Okay,
that's
that's why he's zeroed out. All right, I wasn't sure if it was a junior issue or if it was something with him. So let's pop back to the board. So it doesn't look like there's many other Raptors picks on here. Let's talk about on the over side of things, because those are more fun. And last couple picks of the show here. Let's take a look at a couple points overs. Kelly Oubre, Franz Wagner, 13.5 for Oubre, 14.5 for Wagner. And both of those guys sitting pretty comfortably in the 84% range to go over those points props. How are you liking those?
Yeah, plus for Oubre is LaMelo is kind of a pass first facilitator, and then Franz could really benefit if Banchero is out again, to juice that likelihood up. And we know, Charlotte's defense is something that he can get off on. And what did we say? 13 is the line.
13, Franz is 14
and a half. Yeah, he hasn't given us less than 15 points since the Dallas Mavericks, which is the slowest paced team in basketball and a little bit more stout on D. So it's a line that he clears pretty often. And I think with Banchero, if Banchero misses, would feel like a shoo-in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that one seems like it would kind of rocket up from the mid 80s, probably into the firm high 90s there if Banchero misses. And just looking at the averages, like you said, he hasn't been under that 15 points in a handful of games. He's averaging 18.3 for this season in 34.1 minutes, sitting with a 23.7% usage rate. So a lot of reasons to expect that one. Let's pick one last one off the board here before we say goodbye to the folks. I'm having fun here. What about, let's say, Jason Tatum sitting at a 24.5 on the points. We've got him projected to go firmly over that, but it's under 80%, slightly under 80%. Seems like a decent spot going up against OKC here. What do you think about Tatum?
Yeah, Tatum, one of my boys has got me on Tatum threes every game now, and it's something I didn't realize until he brought it up. This man chucks 14, 11, 30, like half of his shots are just chucking from three. Thinks he's Steph Curry, but the volume is so dang high that the 2.5 lines are so tempting every time. So that correlates just fine with the points as well. The only perhaps pessimism we would have is the scoreboard. But I think if it does get away, it's either Tatum or Brown that did the damage. And this year it's been more Tatum as he's averaging over 32 points a game. So I would lean that as well. I would take the over on points, but I wouldn't hate over 2.5 points because it's not necessarily counterintuitive to the over real point, right? If he gets over the real point total, he probably hit 3 threes as well.
Oh, absolutely. And just looking at our board, I just sorted for Tatum only picks. We actually have the threes made a little higher. It's against the 2.5 line. We've got him projected at 3.8, 84.7% probability. And to your point, what you're just saying, 9.5 threes a game taken, 3.7 made. So he's right there. You're already basically 3 over that line. And just on volume, if he's getting up to, 11, 12, 13 attempts, he's probably going to make you the 2.5 that you need there. So I like that one. And then the point seems very strong. You're talking about 31.4% usage rate, 32.3 points per game so far this season against the 24.5 line. It just seems like a gimme. So I like that one sitting there. With that, Gun, anything to wrap up here? Any thoughts for the people on the way out the door here? Tell them where to find you, all that stuff.
Twitter.com/Gundacker. I believe I'm back for live before lock today. So if you guys can't get enough,
I believe you are. I was supposed to do it, and I told him let's make sure it's a good show. I haven't seen or thought about anything in 10 days, so I'll be on that one on Wednesday. I'll be back in the full swing of things. But I asked Chris to back me out of that, so I appreciate you jumping on that one, buddy. That's Make sure you're tuning in for Gun on the live before lock for NBA later on at 6 o'clock. Before that, we've got the deeper dive with looks like Lofty and Adam. That should be a good one, and then we've got NFL Showdown live before lock later on as well. Matt Savoca and Neil Orfield for that one. So that should be a hell of a show. A lot of stuff coming up, guys. Make sure you're going over to No House Advantage. Take advantage. Jeez, did it again. Make sure you're utilizing our picks and our optimal lineups over there. Make sure you're hitting the $50 deposit match and take advantage of that overlay. It's the best way to make some money. With that, we appreciate it, gang. Good luck tonight.